Ciao guys and welcome back, it's your friend Luca, and in today's video I would like to share my experience of using the Lumix S1 Mark II for 2 months on a daily basis for professional jobs. This is going to be a positive video because the camera delivers solid results in the field I'm working on, and that is business and corporate event videography. If you plan to use this camera for other type of productions, maybe check more videos to have a bigger picture of what you should expect. First of all, my enthusiasm about the body design of the S1R Mark II and S1 Mark II has been confirmed multiple times. This camera feels and runs perfectly in my hands. The position of the keys, the wheels, the switch and the tilt flip screen are simply amazing, and I'm in love with the body design of this camera. I wouldn't mind to have a deeper grip that was able to allocate the older Lumix S1 Mark I batteries, because these batteries have approximately 30% more juice and that would run the camera for a longer time. But it is what it is. The ability to film in 5.1K at 60 fps in 3x2 open gate is a big thing. When you need to deliver content with different aspect ratios to your clients, this recording option is amazing. Next to this open gate 5.1K up to 60 fps recording option, we also have 4K 120 with a slight crop of 21%. The image quality is pretty fantastic, and I'm very happy to see this higher frame rate recording option on the Lumix S cameras. I honestly find it very useful, especially if you are going to record the sports and events. In terms of autofocus performances, the camera is doing a fantastic job both in photos and videos. I always get sharp images, especially if I'm photographing one subject at the time. When the scenes start to be a bit more complex with multiple people in frame, it is a little bit more difficult to specifically track just one person, and I found that the best option to do so is to use the touch tracking autofocus setting, and that way the camera is doing a pretty good job. I will also add that the camera is performing way snappier than the Lumix S1II and S1II if you are doing burst photos with the mechanical shutter, because with those cameras I felt there was a little bit of lag, while with the Lumix S1 Mark II and S1R Mark II I never feel that the camera is laggy. Probably the CPU in these cameras is way more powerful, and I find that the user experience with this camera is much better. In terms of picture profile, here we have a Vlog that is definitely my favorite picture profile of all the cameras, but with the Lumix S1 Mark II and S1R Mark II they introduced Cine-like A picture profile that is having very beautiful colors, and I'm gonna switch right now so you're gonna see the difference, also considering the main RGB colors. And this is the Cine A picture profile with the sharpening and denoiser to the minimum levels. What do you think about these colors? I personally find this picture profile beautiful. It is ready to deliver it to the client without any major correction, and it retains a huge amount of dynamic range, similar to what we are seeing with Vlog. I like it. This camera is using a new semi-stacked sensor that is able to provide a great dynamic range and fast rolling shutter performances. But in case you would like to gain more dynamic range, you can always enable the dynamic range boost on that combines both gains of the lower and higher gain settings, and in that way your Vlog footage is gonna jump from 640 to 1000 base ISO. And you're not gonna have a dual ISO anymore, it's just combining both in one ISO setting, but the dynamic range is gonna be highly increased. And that means you're gonna gain an extra stop of dynamic range, but the rolling shutter performances are going to be slightly worse. So for some people that can be too much, but for static shots, let's say interviews or staged clips, a dynamic range boost on is going to help you a lot if you're going to have very contrasty scenes. In terms of reliability, I've been extremely happy with this camera. This camera has always been able to perform extremely well, both indoor for long takes up to 8 hours with some breaks in between, or outdoor for small events and weddings. Some people on the web are experiencing some overheating issues if they're filming 4K 60 fps if you leave your camera in the sun at 35 plus Celsius degrees, but I cannot really think of a situation that will involve that type of recording options for the type of work that I do. But if that's your cup of tea, I highly suggest you to record externally to the Atomos Ninja 5 or the Blackmagic Video Assist and power the camera with a dummy battery. In this way you will totally mitigate the risk of having a warning while recording long recording sessions. The combination of the IBIS and the electronic stabilization in the camera makes this camera pretty outstanding, because you don't really need a gimbal anymore. I've been able to film some nice B-rolls just while walking with the 24-60 at 24mm, and with the cropless electronic mode and the footage I was able to get was stunning. So I'm extremely happy about this feature. It's probably the most important feature for me, because saving 1 kilo in the hand luggage when I travel abroad, because I don't need to bring the gimbal anymore, is pretty fantastic. But in video and photos, the noise tolerance is very good. I don't see much noise happening, also because there is quite some denoising happening in the camera. In terms of colors and overall image quality, we are seeing a little bit of denoising happening and a slight amount of digital sharpening adding to both photos and videos. This camera doesn't have the same image quality as the first generation of Lumix S1, but honestly, I don't care anymore, because I rather have a good and performing autofocus that is fantastic on this S1 Mark II camera over that 10% more image quality from the first generation of Lumix S cameras. I can tell you can definitely live with it, and it's not going to be a problem for your clients or for yourself, because at one point you will get used to this little detail in terms of image quality. This camera is able to record audio in 24 bits internally, and this is how the preamp is sounding, with a Rode video mic NTG attached to the camera. I think the noise floor is okay, but the dynamic range is a bit limited. I don't know about you, but I always hated to mount an external recorder on top of my camera to be able to record in RAW. Now with this camera we can finally record internally in Apple ProRes RAW, thanks to the CF Express Type B card, but we can also record it externally to an SSD thanks to the USB-C port. And that's something important to consider related to the price of this camera, because you will not need to buy an external recorder that might cost up to 700 or 1000 euros. Keep in mind that ProRes RAW is very beefy and heavy, so I suggest you to just record this codec into an external SSD, because it's going to be way more cost efficient. But keep in mind that if you need to record in RAW 3x2 open gate, you will need an external recorder to be able to do so, because the internal RAW recording option is limited to 16:9 and 17:9 5.9K resolution. If you are like me and you think that ProRes RAW sucks because we cannot edit it in DaVinci Resolve, you'll be happy to know that with the latest firmware update of the Lumix S1 Mark II and S1R Mark II and S1E2, we can finally record in Blackmagic RAW externally to the Blackmagic Video Assist. If you were hoping for an optical low-pass filter on this sensor, unfortunately we don't have it. In some occasions, if you are using lenses with high acutance, you might see some aliasing going on in the footage. In terms of photography, you might see some RGB pixelations if you need to print big photos. In that case, I might suggest you considering the S1R Mark II, because the pixel density of the camera is much higher and the RGB pixelation is going to be less visible. This camera supports the Lumix Flow, that is a fantastic application that transforms your smartphone into an external monitor that you can connect just with the USB-C cable, and that is an incredible feature because you don't need to bring an external monitor and batteries with you, but you can simply use your iPhone or iPad mini or any Android smartphone to monitor your footage with a bigger screen. Like all the latest Lumix S cameras, this S1 Mark II is compatible with the Lumix Lab application that is a total game changer in terms of user experience with the camera and the smartphone. With this application, it's super easy to transfer your photos and videos into your phone, and there you can even edit them in case you need to. I consider this feature very valuable, especially my girlfriend, because she doesn't need to wait months before she can get the pictures we are taking during our vacations. And that's not all, because with the Lumix Lab application you have access to a huge catalog of free LUT that you can use on your photos and videos. That means that you don't need to edit your photos anymore, because the look is going to be baked into your JPEGs and videos. If you are shooting photos in JPEG plus RAW, you can still edit your photos after all. The only thing you might need to edit in post is to fix the horizon, or if you want to crop into your photos. Talking about low light, this camera is doing a fantastic job. The noise pattern is pretty easy to fix in post with the denoiser, and the autofocus performances are pretty good. I tested the camera in extremely low light in a club environment where I was pushing the ISO to 51,000 ISO, and the camera performed extremely well. In case you wanna test those files, I will leave a link in the community tab that you can download for free if you are subscribed to the channel. In conclusion, in my opinion, this is the best mirrorless camera you can buy nowadays. It's going for 3,500 euros, so it's not cheap, but the features that are packed into this camera are truly outstanding and they are totally worth it. This is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao!